In June 2020, two female corpses caked in mud were discovered in the undergrowth of Fryent Country Park, London. Their bodies bore numerous stab wounds, and the killer had bound their limbs together arranged in what appeared to be some ritualistic offering. Even more chilling, after the killer's arrest, police discovered a blood pact addressed to the devil in his home, a sinister contract that revealed the horrifying truth behind this gruesome case. On June 8, 2020, London Metropolitan Police received a missing persons report. The caller, Mina, stated that her daughter Nicole and Nicole's half-sister Babar had gone to Fryent Country Park on June 6 to celebrate Babar's birthday. But after entering the park, they never returned home. Their phones later went unanswered, leading Mina to fear the sisters had met with foul play. She pleaded with police to investigate. After receiving the report, police immediately dispatched officers to search the park. Accompanying them were family and friends of the two sisters. Then, after a grueling 17-hour search, Nicole's boyfriend made a horrific discovery in the park's undergrowth: the bodies of Nicole and Bieber. Upon removing the bodies from the undergrowth, investigators made a grim discovery. Both victims bore multiple stab wounds, 28 on Nicole's body and 8 on Babar's. The cause of death for both was acute blood loss. But what sent chills down investigators' spines was the unnatural positioning of the bodies. The killer had meticulously bound their limbs together, arranging them in what appeared to be some grotesque ritual offering. Shortly after, police discovered a remote-controlled camera in the grass, containing numerous photos of the two sisters. According to the timestamps, Nicole and Babar had taken hundreds of cheerful photos on June 6. However, the last photo, taken at 1:13 a.m. on June 7, showed both sisters suddenly looking to the left, as if distracted by something off-camera. Investigators believe this might have been their final photo alive, and that whatever or whoever caught their attention could very well have been their killer approaching. Then, the police immediately launched a manhunt for the killer. Soon, they discovered substantial amounts of blood not belonging to either victim on the sisters' scattered clothing and the tool left at the scene. Investigators theorized the killer likely cut himself during the attack. DNA testing was ordered on the blood traces. After 23 days of analysis, police identified a suspect on June 30, 18-year-old Daniel Hussein. On July 1, 2020 at dawn, armed police smashed open Daniel's door and arrested him. The moment officers saw the stitched wound on his hand, they were virtually certain they had the right man. But the real horror emerged when police searched his room. What they found would reveal a far more terrifying truth. First, police found a suspicious letter in the TV cabinet in Daniel's bedroom. After examining the letter, authorities discovered it was a contract written in blood by Daniel, addressed to a demon. The contract stated that, as long as he remained alive, he would kill 6 women as sacrifices to the demon within 6 months, and build a church for the demon in exchange for a chance to win lottery prizes worth £321 million. He also wrote, "I hope you can bring me rich rewards for what I have done for you, including wealth, power, and the ability that can always help me evade law enforcement." At the bottom of the contract, Daniel had signed his name in his own blood, leaving a blank space beside it for the signature of the demon Lucifer. Beside this contract, police discovered 3 lottery tickets Daniel had purchased after the incident, along with a note inscribed with incantations. On this note, Daniel had made another plea to the demon, a wish for a girl in his class to fall desperately in love with him. Beyond these items, investigators found numerous cryptic symbols of obscure meaning scattered throughout his bedroom. The evidence found in Daniel's bedroom shocked investigators, as all indications pointed to him being a fanatical cult follower beyond redemption. In his twisted pursuit of wealth and power, he had killed 2 innocent women as sacrificial offerings to the demon. The demon never honored its end of the bargain. Not only did Daniel fail to win the lottery, but he ultimately found himself hunted down by the police instead. But this raises troubling questions. How did an 18-year-old like Daniel become indoctrinated into a cult? And why was he so utterly convinced by dark magic? Born in 2001, Daniel grew up in Blackheath, London. His parents' turbulent marriage and his role as the eldest son forced him to endure constant domestic strife while shouldering responsibility for his younger siblings. These childhood burdens gradually closed him off, withdrawing into isolation, rather than confiding in family. When Daniel was around 10 years old, his parents finalized their divorce, and he went to live with his father. Although freed from the constant family conflicts, their relationship remained emotionally distant. Neighbors would often see Daniel wandering the streets, and his father grew concerned he might fall in with the wrong crowd. Daniel's father's concerns proved justified. After entering Thomas Taylor School, while maintaining excellent grades, Daniel grew increasingly withdrawn. His conversations became dominated by superstitious topics, and his views turned radical. Initially, no one understood this dramatic transformation until one day. A computer at Thomas Taylor School revealed the shocking truth behind Daniel's descent. Daniel had been using school computers to access websites of extremist groups and Satanist organizations. His frequent visits to these sites eventually drew the attention of school authorities. The school administration concluded that Daniel's strange behavior and ideas might not stem from personality issues, but rather from the influence of online extremist ideologies. This led to serious concerns that Daniel could have become a potential terrorist threat. As a result, the school determined he no longer needed conventional education, but rather required intervention from government authorities and psychological institutions. In October 2017, Thomas Taylor School referred Daniel to the UK government's Prevent Counter-Extremism programme, where he underwent 9 months of structured intervention. By July 2018, government assessors concluded his extremist ideologies had significantly improved, and Daniel passed all official evaluation tests. As a result, his restrictions were lifted, restoring his full freedom. Yet shockingly, after being released from government oversight, Daniel's extremist views weren't eradicated, they mutated into something far more dangerous. This time, however, he became more cautious, no longer accessing cult websites on public computers, but secretly studying extremist materials in his bedroom. For the next 2 years, the young Daniel abandoned all academic pursuits, devoting himself entirely to browsing terrorist-operated websites. During this descent, he became addicted to watching videos of women being tortured and killed and the dark magic. In his study, Daniel became convinced that with sufficient devotion and enough sacrificial offerings to the demon, he could obtain without studying or working wealth, status, women, and everything he desired. So he finally brought his evil fantasies into reality. In the weeks leading up to the crime, Daniel purchased knives, duct tape, and stacks of lottery tickets from local stores. Firmly convinced that sacrifices to Lucifer would transform him into a billionaire, he signed the blood pact and began hunting for victims. On the evening of June 6, 2020, as Daniel prowled through Fryent Country Park searching for prey, his gaze fell upon Babar and Nicole laughing and skipping through the park, utterly oblivious to the predator fixated on them. Seizing his chance as the sisters danced in the park, Daniel stealthily followed them, then suddenly stabbed Nicole repeatedly with his knife. When Babar fought back fiercely, he turned his blade on her only to severely cut his own right hand during the violent struggle. After brutally ending both lives, he dragged their bodies into the wooded undergrowth to conceal them, tossed their phones into a pond, and finally left the park at 4:07 a.m. after obliterating all evidence. During the attack, Daniel severely wounded his right hand with his own knife. By daylight on June 7, he sought treatment at a hospital, claiming the injury resulted from a mugging, a lie that temporarily evaded police suspicion. Amid this tragedy, one grim mercy emerged. The hand injury proved so debilitating that he couldn't even grasp objects, preventing him from pursuing his remaining 4 intended victims. Had he not been injured, more women would have surely died. After his arrest, Daniel persistently denied committing everything. Yet the mountain of evidence uncovered in his home left no choice but to bring him to trial. On July 6, 2021, he was convicted of 2 counts of murder. That October, judges handed down a life sentence, but under UK law, his minor status at the time of the crimes made actual life imprisonment impossible. He received a 35-year tariff instead, with parole eligibility set for July 20, 2055. What shocked the court most was Daniel's utter lack of remorse. While awaiting sentencing, He smirked behind his mask, playing catch with guards. When addressed by the judge, he spun his chair around in defiance, flashing a loser gesture at a testifying paramedic. Met Police Detective Inspector Maria Green delivered this damning assessment. He remains dangerous, arrogant, and violent, showing zero contrition or willingness to acknowledge his crimes. May his imprisonment offer some solace to Babar and Nicole's loved ones. The death of Nicole and Babar left their loved ones devastated. Babar, before her tragic death, served as a senior social worker for Buckinghamshire Council. Even earlier in her career, she had driven disabled children to swimming lessons, a lifetime dedicated to vulnerable communities. Nicole's life shone just as brightly. A freelance photographer and photography assistant, she had just embarked on a new chapter as an event coordinator when her dreams were cut short. Their vibrant lives, full of promise and purpose, were stolen on Babar's birthday by the truest embodiment of evil. This case reveals a disturbing truth. Daniel's descent into violence was fueled by unfiltered exposure to extremist online content. While his crimes remain unforgivable, deeper questions demand answers. Why could a teenager so easily access such toxic digital spaces? How did social platforms fail to monitor these dangerous accounts? These systemic failures matter more than any single trial, because only by addressing them can we prevent future tragedies. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Case Diaries. There are plenty more cases coming your way. Got thoughts on today's story? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.